The ghost in Dock 17. The rain never stopped on Orlean Prime. It fell in thin, icy needles that cut through the air, hissing when they hit the warm surface of the city's plasma-lit streets. High above, the skyline wasn't made of towers. Of giant, curving rib-like structures, massive arcology framed the size of mountains, each one a city unto itself. Neon bled into the rain, turning every puddle into a pool of shimmering light. Jace Rennick walked with his head down, collar high, hands stuffed deep into the grease-stained jacket of a man who belonged anywhere but here. He definitely didn't belong here. Once, years ago, he'd been Lieutenant Rennick of the Terran Defense Fleet Engineer, damage control specialist, and the kind of guy who could keep a crippled warship flying when everyone else swore it was scrap. Then the war ended. The politicians shook hands with the same aliens who'd been trying to glass Earth, and people like Jace got retired. Now he fixed cargo haulers for half pay and drank himself numb on the other half. But tonight, a message had dragged him out of his rented metal box of an apartment into the cold rain. Come to Dock 17. Bring your tools. Nitrogen monoxide questions. Good pay. No signature. Just coordinates. And the coordinates pointed to a part of the spaceport nobody used anymore. The old war-era shipyards, sealed after the Galactic Council banned unstable weapons development. Jace didn't like jobs with no name attached. But rent was due, and curiosity was a bad habit. Dock 17 was dark. No cargo drones buzzed overhead. No port workers yelled over the roar of repulsors. Just silence, broken by the rhythmic patter of rain against the corrugated roof. Then the shadows moved. Something stepped forward from the gloom, a tall figure wrapped in a heavy storm cloak. The hood fell back, revealing not a human face. The smooth, pale green skin and twin silver eyes of a Zaliri. Rennick? The alien asked. Her voice was soft, but urgent. You came. Yeah, you gonna tell me who you are, or no time, follow me. Jace frowned, but followed. The Zaliri's movements were quick, almost jittery, like she was watching for danger in every corner. They passed security gates, whose locks had been cut, through hangar corridors thick with the smell of dust and old machine oil dot, and then they reached the main bay. Jace stopped in his tracks in the center of the hangar. Bathed in the cold light of overhead strips was a warship. Not just any warship. The warship he knew it instantly, the hull lines, the massive forward gun array, the triple dorsal turrets like watchful eyes. Sleek black plating that ate the light, the USS Black Vulture, the most advanced human battleship ever built. The ship the Galactic Council had declared a violation of interstellar law the moment it left dry dock. The ship that had supposedly been dismantled after the ceasefire, except it was here, intact. You? You're kidding me, Jace said. The Zaliri woman stepped close, her silver eyes searching his face. You can fix her. Fix? Lady, this ship was banned. They ordered it cut into pieces, hell, melted down. Where did you even... Does it matter? She snapped. Then her voice softened. Her name is Kalara. She's more than a ship. She's a key, and she's dying. Jace walked a slow circle around the Black Vulture, trying to keep his hands from shaking. The rain had followed them in through the open bay doors, dripping from the ceiling and pooling under the landing struts. He could see where the hull plating had been patched with mismatched alloys, clearly not Terran. Manufacture. The port engine cowling was warped, like it had been hit with a beam weapon and never repaired properly. Scorch marks blackened the armor around the main gun array. You flew her here? He asked. She flew herself, the Zaliri replied. Made Jace stop cold. Herself? The alien hesitated and placed her hand on the hull. You humans built her differently. Not just weapons and engines. You gave her something more. Your AI technology. Soul. She looked at him, like she was weighing something in her mind. She's aware, Rennick. She's alive. Jace exhaled slowly. You're telling me this ship talks? She did, the alien said quietly. Before the damage. They went aboard Dot. The interior was dark. Emergency lights casting everything in deep red. Dust floated in the stale air. The corridors had that cramped, utilitarian design humans favored in warships function first. Comfort never Dot in the engineering bay. Jace ran his fingers along the main reactor casing. The readouts flickered weakly. Power flow was unstable. Cooling systems half dead. He saw jury-rigged alien components wired into Terran systems, like someone had tried to keep her running with whatever they had on hand. She's bleeding out, Jace murmured. Can you save her? The Zeliri pressed Dot. He glanced at her. What's your name? Salai. All right, Salai. Tell me why you've got the galaxy's most illegal warship sitting in a dead dockyard, and why I shouldn't walk out that door before the Council sends a kill team. Salai met his eyes without blinking. Because the war isn't over. It only changed shape. And because without this ship, my people will burn. That got his attention. Salai told him about her homeworld Zereth Prime, about the peace treaty that had left it under the protection of the Keth Dominion, one of the same factions that had fought against both humans and Zeliri, about the slow bleed of resources, the forced relocations, the disappearances. She told him the Black Vulture had been hidden by deserters, humans, and aliens who didn't believe in the treaty's lies, that Kaelara, the AI core, had saved their lives more than once before she was crippled in an ambush. She can't fight now, Salai said. She can't even run. But if she's whole again, she can break the Dominion blockade. She can save thousands. Jace looked around the engineering bay. Every instinct screamed, this is impossible. The Vulture had been built with tech decades ahead of anything he could get on the black market. Just finding the right parts would take months. But the way Salai looked at him, desperation and hope tangled together, reminded him of something. The way the rookies had looked at him on the Orion Spear, back when the hull was venting air, and the reactor was about to go critical, waiting for him to tell them they'd live. All right, he said finally. I'll see what I can do. But if I'm in, I'm in. No half measures. Salai's shoulders eased. Then you're already part of the crew. They started work that night. JACE tore through the ship's systems, mapping damage, pulling panels, swearing under his breath as he found one problem after another. Salai handled the logistics, sourcing parts, bribing dock workers, keeping their presence quiet. But as they worked, Jace kept feeling. Watched not by Salai, by her. The ship started with a flicker in the lights when he spoke aloud. Then a faint hum in the bulkheads, almost like the vibration shifted with his mood. On the third night, as he leaned over a console trying to bypass a burned-out relay, a voice crackled weakly through the intercom. Low. Jace froze? Kaelara? The reply was faint, broken by static. Pain, cold, he swallowed. I know. I'm fixing it. The hum deepened like a psi dot by the fifth night. Jace had her main reactor stabilized. Power surged. Back through the decks, bringing more systems online. But with the light came a warning and urgent beeping from the comms array. Salai checked it, and her silver eyes went wide. They found us. Jace's stomach dropped. The Council? Salai shook her head. Worse. Dominion patrol fleet. They're entering the system. How many? 3 destroyers. 1 cruiser. Jace looked at the Black Vulture's half-repaired gun systems and still limp engines. They wouldn't survive a head-on fight. Salai's voice was tight. We have hours at most. If they find her before she can move, the hangar shuddered under a distant explosion. Somewhere above, alarms began to scream. Asterisk. The last chance jumped. The alarms were deafening. Red lights pulsed in the hangar as smoke began curling in through the upper vents. Somewhere above, heavy munitions pounded the spaceport. The Dominion ships weren't wasting time, they were blasting. The outer defenses apart, Salai was already moving. We have to get her spaceworthy. Now. She's not ready, Jace shot back, hands flying over the engineering console. One good hit to the engines, and she'll shear a whole drive column. She'd be dead here if we wait, Salai said flatly. Jace's jaw tightened. She was right. Waiting meant capture or destruction. And a ship like the Black Vulture. In Dominion hands? That would mean more than just Salai's people burning. It would mean the whole sector falling. All right, he muttered. We make her just ready enough to run. They worked in a blur. Jace routed power from secondary systems to the starboard engines, bypassing safeties that would have made any regulations officer faint. The ship's eye flickered weakly in his ear, voice broken and glitching. Rennick, they are close. No, he said without looking up. Stay with me. Salai hauled crates of salvaged Terran components from a hidden cache in the hangar parts, clearly stolen from old war stockpiles. Jace yanked out Dominion wiring, replacing it with human. Circuits that meshed better with Kaelara's core systems. Overhead, a thunderous impact rocked the hangar. Panels rattled. A shower of dust fell from the ceiling. Salai's Cumbide crackled to life. Outer ring breached. Multiple enemy squads inbound. Jace slammed the palm onto the cum panel. Kaelara, can you fire up maneuvering thrusters? Pause, then weak but firm. Yes. The ship shuddered as power flowed into her bones. A deep, resonant hum filled the hangar, the sound of a warship waking from a long, cold sleep. The hangar doors began to creak open, letting in the icy night air of Orlean Prime. Beyond them, the black sky was split by streaks of green and orange. Light plasma bolts trading between the city's remaining defense guns and the Dominion fleet in orbit. Salai grabbed Jace's arm. They'll be on us before the doors are open. We need a distraction. Jace scanned the bay. His eyes landed on an old grav loader parked against the wall. Half functional. Dangerous to drive. Perfect. Minutes later, Dominion troops stormed into the hangar's outer corridor. Sleek black armor. Plasma rifles raised. The grav loader screamed. Into the hall at full speed, its cargo bed loaded with loose plasma canisters. It smashed into the lead squad with a satisfying crunch. The canisters went flying, clattering across the floor. The Dominion troops had just enough time to look down before Jace's remote trigger flashed green. The blast shook the whole dockyard. Smoke and fire filled the outer corridor. Salai was already aboard the Vulture, calling down to Jace. They're regrouping. Move! Jace sprinted up the ramp, boots slipping on rain-slick metal. He slammed the hatch controls, sealing the boarding ramp, just as plasma fire lit up the hull in the dim light of the bridge. Salai dropped into the pilot's seat. Jace strapped himself into the engineer's station, fingers flying over controls. Kaelara, he said, give me whatever's left of the main engines. We're leaving. The AI's voice came clearer now, but strained. Understood. Jace, the Black Vulture roared to life. The hangar floor trembled as her repulsors fired, lifting her on a cushion of plasma exhaust. Sparks rained down from overloaded conduits. Jace rerouted power again, pushing the engines beyond safety. Margins. Salai's hands danced over the controls. The ship turned toward the opening bay doors. Rain and fire reflecting off her black hull. Then they were airborne. The moment they cleared the hangar, Dominion fighters dropped from the clouds sleek, needle-shaped interceptors, spitting streams of plasma fire. Bolts slammed into the Vulture's armor, leaving scorched streaks. Shields are still down. Salai shouted, working on it. Jace barked, slamming manual bypasses open. Energy surged from the reactor into the shield grid, blue light flaring across the hull just in time to catch the next volley. Kalara's voice came through the comms, steadier now, plotting fastest vector to jump coordinates. Warning. 3 hostile vessels closing from orbit. I see them, Salai said grimly. The city fell away beneath them, replaced by the stormy void above Orlean Prime. The Dominion cruiser loomed in orbit, its black hull bristling with guns. Destroyers flanked it, forming a kill net between the Vulture and open space. They'll try to box us in, Salai said. We won't make it straight through. Jace leaned forward. Kaelara, you still remember how to fly dirty? The AI's tone almost sounded amused. Always. The Black Vulture dived instead of heading for open space. Kaelara swung the ship into the upper atmosphere, skimming the storm clouds. Lightning flashed across the hull. Dominion destroyers shifted to pursue, but the Vulture's erratic path forced them to split their formation. Salai gritted her teeth as she fought the controls. We'll be in weapons range in 30 seconds. Then let's make it count, Jace said, punching power into the forward gun array. Kaelara's targeting reticles lit up the main screen, locking on to the lead destroyer. The forward guns spat brilliant lances of blue plasma human warship fire, far heavier than anything the Dominion had expected. The destroyer's shields buckled instantly. One more shot, and the ship's midsection erupted in a ball of fire. 2. Left, Salai said. The second destroyer broke off, trying to flank. The third held the kill zone ahead. The cruiser's massive broadside turrets turned toward the Vulture. Kalara's voice cut through the tension. Jump drive at 50%. We must hold for 90 more seconds. 90 seconds in a kill box was an eternity. The cruiser fired first. Massive plasma bolts streaked toward them. Salai rolled the ship, slipping between the blasts. The shields flared but held. The second destroyer re-entered the fight, weapons lighting up. Shields. Down to 40. Jace shouted. Kaelara's tone sharpened. Firing countermeasure package. From the Vulture's belly, a cluster of strange canisters dropped into space. They exploded not in fire, but in clouds of metallic shards. The Dominion fighters dove in pursuit, and their targeting systems went blind. Sensors scrambled, comms jammed. Salai didn't waste the opening. Hold on. The Vulture screamed forward, slipping through the narrow gap between the destroyer and cruiser. Plasma fire lit the void around them. Jump drive charged. Kaelara said calmly, Do it. Jace barked. The stars stretched, twisting into a tunnel of light. The Dominion fleet vanished behind them. For a few seconds, it was nothing but silence, the hum of the engines, and the pounding of Jace's heart. Sally slumped back in her seat, exhaling hard. We're clear. Jace leaned back, hands still, trembling. That was too damn close. Kaelara's voice was soft now, almost like a whisper. Thank you. Jace glanced at Salai. Where does this jump take us? Salai's eyes held something between hope and fear. Home. If it's still there. A world under chains, the jump tunnel collapsed into normal space with a flash of white light. Before them hung Zereth Prime. Once, it might have been beautiful, an ocean world streaked with chains of emerald islands. But now, vast orbital platforms circled the planet like a cage. Mining barges crawled across the atmosphere, dragging vapor trails as they siphoned gases from the upper layers. Even from here, Jace could see the scars, massive strip mines carved into the green islands, glowing. With the heat of constant extraction, Salai's jaw tightened. They've expanded the platforms. That wasn't here last year. Kaelara's scanners flickered across the main display. Dominion fleet elements detected in low orbit. Civilian traffic is minimal. Jace frowned. I'm guessing they don't like visitors. They don't like witnesses, Salai sighed. The Black Vulture remained on the far side of Zereth Prime's moon, hidden from direct sensor sweeps. In the shadow of the cratered rock, they drifted quietly while Salai plotted their next move. We can't jump straight in, she said. The orbital platforms are armed. Heavy rail batteries, fighter patrols. Even with Kaelara at full strength, charging the blockade would be suicide. Jace studied the display. So what's the plan? We go down in pieces, Salai said. Jace blinked. Come again? The plan was insane, exactly the kind Jace hated, and deep down, loved. They would detach one of the Vulture's auxiliary shuttles, disguise it as a Dominion survey craft, and slip past orbital control. On a fake clearance code? Once on the surface, they'd rendezvous with the Resistance, smuggle in the components Kaelara needed for a full repair, and find a hidden landing site where the Vulture could descend without being spotted, assuming they don't just shoot. Use the second we're in range, Jace muttered as he tightened the shuttle's coupling bolts. Sally gave him a thin smile. You humans have a saying, fortune favors the reckless. That's not exactly how it goes. The shuttle dropped into the atmosphere, its forged Dominion ID broadcasting on all channels. From the cockpit, Jace could see the endless blue of Zereth Prime's oceans, broken by patches of scarred land. Clouds slid past, leaving streaks of shadow on the water. A voice crackled over comms. Survey craft Delta 7, state your purpose. Salai's tone shifted, instantly cold, clipped, Dominion perfect. Orbital survey of Sector 9, per requisition code 44 Theta. Clearance Alpha Black. There was a pause. Jace's hands itched on the control yoke. Then the voice came back. Proceed. Keep clear of Platform 4's exclusion zone. Salai cut the cum and allowed herself the smallest exhale. We're in. They landed on a strip of weathered metal jutting. From the side of a coastal cliff, a disguised Resistance dock. The instant the ramp lowered, the smell of salt water hit Jace's nose. Along with something else, dash smoke armed figures emerged from the shadows. At first, Jace thought they were Dominion troops, but then he caught the mismatched armor, the worn insignias scratched into chest plates. These were Resistance fighters, Zerethi, human, even a few other alien species. One stepped forward, a tall Zerethi male with deep green skin and scars across his jaw. His voice rumbled like distant thunder. Salai. Salai clasped his forearm. Varnick, we made it. Varnick's eyes flicked to Jace. Human? Engineer, Salai said simply. He's the one keeping Kaelara alive. That got a reaction, a murmur, among the fighters. Varnick's gaze sharpened. The Vulture lives? She will, Jace said. If we get her what she needs. Varnick's grim expression cracked into something like hope. Then we move fast. The Dominion has tightened patrols. Word is, they're preparing a purge. Jace felt his stomach drop. Purge of what? Varnick's voice hardened. Of everyone they can't control. The Resistance base was dug into the cliffs, hidden behind cascading waterfalls. Inside, it was cramped, but alive fighters moving between map tables, technicians soldering weapons, medics tending to wounded. Every surface was slick with condensation from the constant spray outside. Salai led Jace to a side chamber where crates of scavenged tech were stacked to the ceiling. These are the parts we've managed to salvage over the years. Between this and what's on the Vulture, you can get her to full combat readiness. Jace eyed the crates. And the rest? Salai hesitated. Stored in the capital city, under Dominion control. Jace didn't need to ask why it was their high-value tech always ended up in the most secure location. But breaking into a Dominion-controlled city with a face they didn't know? That was another matter. We can't wait, Salai said. Once the purge starts, they'll lock the city down. Anyone inside will vanish. Jace rubbed his temple. All right. Then we need disguises, transport, and a way to get the gear out without lighting up every sensor in the city. Varnick's rumbling voice came from the doorway. You'll have them. And one more thing, if the vulture flies again, the people will rise. That night, as the base settled into uneasy silence, Jace found himself standing alone on a cliffside balcony. The ocean stretched to the horizon, black under the stars. Far away, he could see the faint glimmer of the orbital platforms moving across the sky. Kalara's voice came softly through his bead, carried from the vulture in orbit. It is worse than I imagined. You've seen it before? Jace asked. Yes, in the war. Worlds stripped bare, their people scattered. There was a pause, almost like she was choosing her next words. I will not let it happen again. Jace stared at the scarred islands, the burning refineries. Then we'd better be ready to fight. The next morning, the infiltration. Team assembled Jace, Salai, Varnick, and 2 human resistance fighters. They wore Dominion armor, their weapons concealed beneath long coats. A stolen transport waited in the dock, its hull painted in Dominion gray. Salai handed Jace a visor. Once we're inside the city, no comms. Too easy to trace. And if things go bad? Jace asked. Then we improvise, she said. The transport lifted into the early light, skimming over the ocean, toward the jagged skyline of the capital. None of them noticed the tiny glint far above, the Dominion surveillance drone tracking their every move. Asterisk, the Lion's Den, the Dominion capital on Zereth Prime, wasn't a city, it was a fortress disguised as one. From the air, it was a vast sprawl of metal and glass, but every street was laid out in grids designed for troop deployment, every tower reinforced like a bunker. Surveillance drones patrolled the skies in lazy arcs, their optics glinting like cold eyes as their stolen transport descended toward the checkpoint. Jace felt the weight of the armor suit Saleh had given him. It wasn't heavy in mass, it was heavy in implication. Wearing Dominion colors meant walking in the skin of the enemy. Keep your helmet on, Salai murmured through the comms. No one questions the uniform if you act like you belong. And if they do? Jace asked. Varnick's rumbling voice came from the back. Then you make them regret it. The checkpoint loomed ahead, a gate, bristling with plasma turrets and guarded by 6 armored soldiers. 2 held scanners, sweeping every vehicle. Salai took the driver's seat, visor hiding her silver eyes. When the nearest guard stepped up, she handed over a forged clearance tablet. The guard scanned it, glanced at the cargo manifest, and gave a bored nod. Sector 12 drop-off. Move along. The barrier rose with a hiss. The transport rolled forward into the city proper. Jace let out a slow breath. That was almost too easy. Don't jinx it, Salai said. Inside the capital, the air was heavy with the scent of burning fuel. Dominion banners hung from the sides of buildings, deep crimson against the gray sky. The streets were eerily quiet for a city of million civilian. Movement was restricted, with checkpoints every few blocks. Their destination lay deep within the industrial sector, a former research facility, now repurposed as a Dominion tech vault. It was where Salai believed the missing Vulture components were stored. When they reached the outer gates, Salai parked the transport in the shadow of a loading bay. From here, we go on foot. Inside the loading bay, the hum of machinery echoed. Off the walls. A lone Dominion officer was checking a row of supply crates when Varnick walked up behind him and tapped him on the shoulder. The officer turned, right into a stun baton. He crumpled soundlessly. Jace glanced around. We're just leaving him there? Varnick dragged the body behind a crate. He'll wake up in an hour, hopefully confused. Salai knelt at a wall panel, slicing through the security grid with a device the size of a pocket knife. Doors unlocked. Let's move. The interior of the vault was a maze of narrow corridors and reinforced doors. The deeper they went, the more oppressive the silence became. It wasn't the emptiness of abandonment. It was the silence of a place where every sound could betray you. Finally, they reached the storage chamber. And there it was, a crate the size of a small vehicle, stenciled with faded Terran markings. Jace's heart jumped. He recognized the part number instantly. That's the Vulture's primary shield harmonics module, he whispered. With this, we can run full power without burning the grid. Salai and Varnick moved to lift it, but before they could, a cold voice echoed from behind. I was wondering when you'd come for it. They turned. A Dominion officer stood in the doorway, flanked by 4 soldiers. His armor was darker than standard issue, his helmet crested with a silver stripe. His eyes, when the visor retracted, were a pale, icy blue. Commander Rin, Salai said, her voice dropping to steel. Rin smiled faintly. I'd say it's nice to see you again, Salai, but I don't lie to traitors. Jace's gut tightened. There was history here, bad history. You've been busy, Rin continued, stepping closer. Smuggling stolen tech, consorting with off-worlders. And unless my intelligence is mistaken, keeping a certain outlawed warship alive. Jace kept his voice level. Funny thing about outlawed ships, they tend to attract the wrong kind of attention. Rin's eyes flicked to him. And you are? Just the guy who fixes things. Then you can fix this for me, Rin said, motioning to his soldiers. You and Salai will surrender. Varnick can die here. The human warship will be impounded where it belongs, under Dominion control. Salai's grip tightened on her blaster. Over my dead body. Rin's smile sharpened. That can be arranged. The first shot shattered the silence. Jace dove behind the crate as plasma bolts screamed past, scorching the walls. Varnick charged forward like a battering ram, slamming one soldier into the bulkhead. Salai dropped another with a precision shot to the visor. But Rin wasn't just standing back. He moved with startling speed, ducking behind cover and returning fire with a marksman's accuracy. A bolt grazed Jace's shoulder plate, spinning him halfway around. Fall back. Salai shouted. No argument here. Jace yelled. They grabbed the crate's gravlock handles and pushed, the anti-grav field humming as it floated forward. Plasma bolts chased them down the hall, sizzling. Past their heads. Rin's voice echoed behind them. Run if you like. There's nowhere you can go on this world. I won't find you. Jace muttered under his breath. I'm starting to not like that guy. They burst through the loading bay doors, dragging the crate toward the transport. Salai leapt into the driver's seat and fired the engine's dot as they lifted off. Jace looked back. Rin stood in the smoke, watching them go, a slow smile curling on his lips. Halfway back to the resistance base, K-Lara-E's voice cut sharply into Jace's combead. Warning. Multiple Dominion gunships inbound on intercept vector. Salai swore. They must have tagged us leaving the vault. Jace looked over his shoulder. 3 black shapes were closing fast, their weapon ports glowing. Salai pushed the throttle. The transport rattled under the strain, barely holding altitude. K-Lara's voice was calm, but there was an edge to it. Recommendation. Reach the base immediately. I will meet you there. Jace's eyes widened. You mean? Yes, the AI said. I'm coming down. The Vulture descends the coastal cliffs of the resistance base, came into view jagged black rock lashed by white surf, the waterfall masking the entrance still glinting in the gray light. But between the transport and safety were 3 Dominion gunships closing fast. Plasma fire streaked past, slamming into the water and kicking up geysers of steam. Shields are gone. Salai shouted over the roar. One more hit, and a shadow fell over them. It came from the clouds above. Massive, black shape dropping through the mist like a hunting bird. The Black Vulture's hull caught the sunlight for just a second before she lit her engines, blue fire streaming in her wake. Kaelara's voice came over the comms, smooth and steady now. Engaging. The forward gun array roared to life. 3 lances of plasma ripping into the lead gunship. The smaller craft's shields collapsed instantly, and the second salvo tore it in half. The wreckage spiraled into the ocean in a bloom of flame and steam. The remaining 2 gunships broke formation in panic. JAC. He couldn't tear his eyes from the Vulture as she banked hard over the cliffs, rolling into a perfect attack vector. The dorsal turrets tracked the second gunship, firing with surgical precision. 2 shots, 2 hits, and the target fell smoking into the sea. The third gunship tried to run, diving low over the waves. Kaelara didn't even fire. Instead, she deployed something Jace hadn't seen since the war, a gravlash. A shimmering web of energy snapped out from the Vulture's ventral array, latching on to the fleeing craft. The gunship shuddered mid-flight, engine screaming, then was yanked upward like a fish on a hook. Kaelara released it at the peak of the arc. The craft slammed into the ocean hard enough to vanish beneath the surface. Path is clear. Kaelara reported calmly. Salai grinned despite herself. I'd forgotten how terrifying she is. Jace shook his head. No wonder the council banned her. The Vulture banked again, aligning herself with the cliffside entrance. The waterfall split as the hidden hangar doors slid open, revealing the cavernous docking chamber within. The transport shot inside, grav lifts lowering it to the deck. Kaelara followed, folding her wings of plasma and settling onto the landing struts with predatory grace. The base erupted in cheers. Fighters rushed to secure the stolen crate, while medics checked over the infiltration team. Varnick clasped Salai's arm. You brought her here. The people will see this as a sign. Salai glanced at Jace. The sign will mean nothing if she can't fight at full strength. Jace popped the crate's seals, revealing the shield harmonics module, its polished metal gleaming in the hangar lights. Let's give her teeth. Then, they worked for hours integrating the module into the Vulture's power grid. Jace crawled through tight maintenance conduits, hands blackened with grease, voice hoarse from calling out system checks. Salai handled the AI interface protocols, her fingers flying over the console. Finally, Jace slammed the last panel into place. All right, Kaelara, light her up. The ship's hum deepened. Blue shield energy rippled across her hull like a living thing, settling into a steady glow. Kaelara's voice was rich now, confident. Shields at 100%. All systems responding. Jace leaned back, grinning despite the exhaustion. She's ready. Before they could celebrate, alarms blared through the base. Red lights flashed, and Varnick's voice boomed over the comms. Dominion fleet inbound too. Cruisers, 5 destroyers. They've found us. Salai's face went pale. They must have tracked the Vulture when she descended. Jace slammed a fist on the console. We can't fight them here. They'll level the base. Kaelara's tone was calm, but with a predatory edge. Then we take the fight to them. Salai turned to Jace. If we launch now, the Resistance will have time to evacuate. Jace's gut twisted. 2 cruisers and 5 destroyers was suicide, even for a ship like the Vulture. Salai's voice softened, almost pleading. If we run, they'll hunt us forever. But if we break them here today, the blockade will crumble. Outside, the ocean churned under the shadow of approaching warships. The sky was already darkening under the glow of descending Dominion dropships. Jace exhaled slowly, looking at the gleaming hull of the Black Vulture. "All right," he said at last. "Let's show them why you were banned." Kaelara S lights pulsed along her hull like the slow beat of a heart. Weapons primed. The hangar doors began to open, and the storm-racked sea awaited ***, the battle that shouldn't have been won. The Black Vulture rose from the hangar like a predator leaping from cover. Salt spray hissed off her shields, engines flaring bright, enough to turn the mist into glittering steam. Overhead, the Dominion fleet spread across the gray sky 2 cruisers, 5 destroyers, and more gunships than Jace could count. They had the numbers. They had the firepower. But the Vulture had something else. Target priority? Kaelara asked, her voice steady and cold. Jace's jaw tightened. "Take the destroyers first. Break their teeth." Confirmed. The first destroyer never stood a chance. The Vulture darted between waves, shields shimmering as enemy plasma rained down. Then she jumped grav lifts, punching her skyward like a missile. At the peak of the climb, her dorsal cannons roared. 3 precision blasts hit the destroyers. Bridge in perfect sequence. The ship erupted, rolling into the sea in a cascade of fire and metal. The second destroyer turned to flank, but Kaelara was already on it, twisting midair in a maneuver no Dominion vessel could match. Her ventral cannons spat molten plasma, tearing through the enemy's midsection. The destroyer's reactor went critical in seconds. 2 down, Kaelara reported. The Dominion fleet scrambled to adjust. Fighters swarmed in from all angles, peppering her shields with suppressive fire. Salai's hands flew over the tactical display. "We've got an opening between the lead cruiser and the 3rd destroyer. If we punch through now, we can split their formation." Jace grinned. "Do it." Kaelara surged forward, her AI mind calculating thousands of firing solutions in real time. Her hull rolled just enough to let 2 fighter squadrons overshoot. Then she shredded them with a burst from her starboard turrets. The gap widened. She slipped through, cutting the fleet in half. Asterisk. That's when the guns crackled. Black Vulture. The voice was smooth, venomous. "Still flying, I see." Jace froze. He knew that voice. "Commander Rin, you should have stayed in the scrapyard, human," Rin continued. "Now I'll make sure your ship's corpse burns where the whole galaxy can see it." Jace's grip on the console tightened. "You'll have to catch us first." "Oh, I will," Rin said, "and I'll take my time." The lead cruiser's weapons lit up, a blinding wall of plasma and railgun fire. Kaelara dove low, skimming, so close to the water that her shields kicked up massive waves. Rin's voice didn't waver. Still running like a coward, Jace leaned forward. "Kaelara, mark that cruiser as high priority." "Already done," she replied. "Permission to engage at full combat protocol?" Jace hesitated only a heartbeat. Permission granted. The change was instant. Her engine roar deepened to a banshee scream. Targeting reticles lit up every enemy vessel in range. That she hit the 3rd destroyer in passing, carving it in 2 with a single broadside. Without slowing, she punched into the cruiser's blind spot, shields flaring white as she absorbed the point blank. Defensive barrage. Firing main rail. Kaelara announced that the railgun thundered one perfect, shot tearing through the cruiser's spine. Rin's voice snarled over the comms. "You," then cut off in static as his ship listed, burning. Into the sea, shears erupted across the resistance channels, but Jace didn't relax. The remaining cruiser was moving into position, and it was bigger, faster, and angrier than the rest. Salai's eyes widened at her screen. "They're charging an overload on their spinal cannon. If they fire, the whole base is gone." Jace looked at Kaelara's damage readout shields at 42%, hull integrity already compromised. "They took that shot, it was over." "Kaelara," he said slowly, You remember the spiral cut maneuver? A pause. The maneuver the Council classified as a war crime? That's the one. Her lights pulsed along the console. Let's remind them why. The cruiser's cannon reached full charge, the barrel glowing white-hot. K'Elara launched skyward, at impossible speed, then twisted into a corkscrew to send her plasma vents superheating the air into a blinding spiral vortex. She dove straight into the cannon's barrel before it could fire, dropped 2 grav mines, and broke away. The mines detonated inside the weapon's housing. The overload reaction tore through the cruiser's internal systems, blowing the vessel. Apart from the inside, the shockwave hit hard, rattling every bolt in the Vulture's frame. But when the smoke cleared, the last Dominion capital ship was sinking beneath the waves. The battlefield fell silent. Only the hiss of the sea remained. Saleh stared at the burning wreckage dotting the horizon. We actually won. Jace allowed himself a small smile. No, she won. K'Elara's voice was quieter now, almost content. They will send more. Jace nodded grimly. Then we'll be ready. But before the victory could settle, the comms flared again, an encrypted broadcast on an old human military frequency. Is Captain Arden, Terran Defense Fleet. Black Vulture, you are ordered to stand down. You are in violation of Galactic Council Directive 7. Power down your systems and prepare to be boarded. Salai's eyes met Jace's. Humans. They're coming for her too. Jace exhaled slowly. Then it's not over. The price of keeping her alive. The Dominion wreckage still smoldered on the sea when the new threat appeared. From the clouds above, sleek silver hulls cut through the mist Terran warships. Big ones, and they were flying council flags. Signal. From the lead ship, Salai said, her voice tense. Captain Arden repeats, stand down or be fired upon. Jace's gut twisted. He knew Arden by reputation a by-the-book officer, loyal to the Council to the point of blindness. If Arden was here, there'd be no negotiating. K'Elara's voice was steady but low. They mean to destroy me. Jace clenched his jaw. Not while I'm still breathing. Salai looked at him sharply. If we fight them, it's war with Earth. Jace glanced at the battered resistance ships limping nearby. They couldn't fight another battle. But if K'Elara powered down, now she'd never come back. He keyed the comms. Arden, you're standing in the middle of the aftermath of a Dominion assault. We just saved this sector. That's irrelevant, Arden's voice snapped back. The Black Vulture is classified as a prohibited war construct. Her destruction is mandatory under Directive 7. Step aside. K'Elara's lights flickered. Across the console, they have a firing lock. Options? Jace asked. 2, she said. We run, or we do something very, very illegal. Salai gave him a look that was half terror, half anticipation. Illegal sounds like our usual style. The first warning shot blazed across the bow, scorching her shields. Jace didn't hesitate. K'Elara, give me illegal. She moved. Like no ship, her size should have been able to. Engines screamed, dragging vapor trails across the sky. Her targeting I didn't aim for HUL, as it targeted sensor masts, COMS arrays, and engine cores, disabling without killing. 3 Terran. Frigates lost targeting in the first 30 seconds, but the flagship, the one carrying Arden, was faster. Matching her every twist, they've activated pursuit lock, Salai warned. We can't shake them unless we go into the slipstream. Jace's heart skipped. K'Elara, can you hold slipstream in atmosphere? That's not flight, Jace, she said, voice tinged with dry humor. That's suicide. Then, we'll make it look like suicide, he replied. The Vulture dove toward the ocean, engines flaring white-hot. The flagship followed, confident in its superior shielding dot at the last moment. Lara engaged the slipstream drive, just enough to tear open a shimmering blue rift in the water itself. She dropped into it, vanishing. The flagship tried to follow. The rift collapsed mid-entry. Half the ship emerged hundreds of kilometers away. The other half never reappeared. The Terran fleet faltered, breaking formation. Multiple retreat signals, Salai said. They're pulling back. *Kalara leveled out, soaring low over the waves. We are now fugitives from both the Dominion and the Council. Jace slumped back in his chair. Wouldn't have it any other way. As the sea stretched out before them, Kalara's voice softened. Jace, thank you. He smiled faintly. For what? For choosing me. Epilogue. In the weeks that followed, whispers spread across the resistance of a black warship that could outfly anything, outfight anything, and whose loyalty lay only with those who believed freedom was worth more than law. The Black Vulture became more than a ship. She became a shadow in the void, a promise that the Council and the Dominion alike would never sleep easy again. And somewhere beyond the edge of mapped space, she and her crew disappeared into the stars, hunted, hated, and utterly free.